Hello and welcome back to you guys out there in self-isolation, much like myself and Tammy. Right now I want to talk to you guys about a huge amount of new information that's become available on the brand new Synology series. Yes, I'm recording from home. Yes, it's a little bit echoey in here, and in the next few days I'll give you a much better recount of all the information we've learned so far. But I thought I'd get a quick summary out there for you guys and give you the salient points. And in the next few days, we'll chew this over and work out exactly what this all means. But there are 4 brand new NASs that are going to be coming from Synology towards the end of the summer, maybe early autumn, based on the way they've done these things in the past. Right, let's start with the most interesting of all. First and foremost, we can talk about the DS920 Plus. The DS920 Plus is the one that probably most of you have been waiting for the very most. It is the 4-bay follow-up to the DS918 Plus, and much like its predecessor, it is a quad-core NAS. The CPU being featured inside is the Intel J4125, a 4-core 2.0 GHz processor that can be burst up to 2.7 GHz per core. On top of this, that CPU is combined with 4 GB of DDR4 memory that can be upgraded officially to 8 GB. And I know a number of you out there are already thinking, I wonder how high I can take it. Let's not push our luck. So, moving forward, with that, there's also the NVMe SSD base that we've seen featured in the generation, the DS918 Plus, along with USB 3 throughout. One thing that there isn't on there is with regard to the LAN ports. There's 2 LAN, but they are 1 gigabit Ethernet, which I know a number of you are very surprised about. I know I am, certainly. Everything we saw and everything we'd heard and basically everything we'd seen in the industry kind of pointed at Synology's newer generation 4-bay having 2.5 GBE. Even their new 6-bay, the 1621 XS that we've heard very little of since the end of last year, that is said to feature 2.5 GBE. So we're all a bit surprised that the 920 Plus is not going to have it, but 1 GBE overall. But this 4-bay is expandable with the DX517, and it arrives with support of SHR, BTRFS, virtualization, surveillance, drive, everything that Synology put out there, you have on offer to you. Next, we can talk about the 2-bay version. We can talk about the DS720 Plus. Now, of all the NASs that we've learned about recently, this is the one that interested me the most because it's the one that's had the biggest change in architecture. It's the 2-bay follow-up to the DS718 Plus. Now again, it has the same CPU. It has, oh look, now the cat there, it has the J4125 base processor, and that is combined with 2 GB of DDR4 memory that can be upgraded to 6 GB officially, which is a strangely small number. And I know a number of you, like me, are a little bit surprised about the whole 6 GB thing, but we'll let that fly for now until later in the week when we make maybe some comparisons and look at these specs in a bit more detail. But the CPU inside the DS720 Plus is exactly the same as that in the 920 Plus, that J4125, and it is a very good CPU, with CPU benchmark giving it well over 1900, as we talked about it before. There aren't a lot of NASs that have that CPU, but there are a few of them out there. QNAP have got a device out there in the works with it too. Now, this 2-bay, it's got 2 1 GBEs, it's got USB 3, it's got the expandability of the 920, but I tell you what else it also has, NVMe SSD Cache. This 2-bay, in a slightly more refined chassis that we've seen previously, arrives with 2 NVMe SSD bays, and although they can only be utilised for caching needs, it's worth saying that a 2-bay with 2 SSD bays for caching is pretty impressive indeed. And particularly if you're going to be utilising larger hard drives like the Seagate Ironwolf series at 16 TB, that is a lot of storage, and therefore that caching you're going to see a lot of benefit in. It's still quite strange to see a 2-bay that's going to feature that kind of stuff, and that cat in the background is hugely distracting, but stay with me. Let's talk about the other 2 that we've learned about. And these aren't as big and exciting and sexy as the 920 and the 720 we've talked about, but they're still damn fine NASs nonetheless. These are the DS220 Plus and the DS420 Plus. Let's get the one that we're very familiar with out the way, the DS220 Plus. That is arriving with another new gen CPU. This is the J40 DS920. This is a 2.0 gigahertz processor that can be burst per core up to 2.9 gigahertz, which is pretty impressive indeed. And that CPU arrives with 2 gig of DDR4 memory that can be upgraded up to 6 gig very, very easily. And again, 6 gig, we're going to hold off our impressions on that one too early doors. But this 2-bay does not arrive with an expandable port. Previous generations of the standard class 2-bay series have arrived with the eSATA port, even for expandable storage or just external storage. This one they've got rid of it completely, but the 220 Plus does arrive with 2 LAN ports overall. How annoying is that? I might even leave that in for the hell of it. So finally, we can talk about that 4-bay, the DS420 Plus. Now this is kind of the follow-up to the DS418 Play, or kinda the follow-up to the DS415 Plus from almost 5 years ago. This is a standard class 4-bay. It's got that dual core CPU again, the J4025, and it's got 2 gig of DDR4 memory that can be upgraded to 6 gig. So in architecture and design, it's very, very similar to the Play. On top of that, it's got 2 LAN ports, 1 GBE of course, and USB 3 ports. It doesn't have expandability and does not have NVMe SSD Cache. And what we're seeing from this newer generation series of 4-bays, I think, is a refinement of the Synology family disk stations. Previous generations have overlapped just that little bit too much and made a lot of users skip whole areas of the family portfolio entirely. Look at the 718 Plus, largely lost in the previous generation, being squeezed out between the 218 and the 918. This seems like a better family distribution that we're seeing here. And with the 220 Plus going into the 718 Plus, going into the 420 Plus, going into the 920 Plus, these 20 series plus NASs, and again, sorry if I get the names wrong, these generation of NASs seem better spaced out. And although we don't have information on release or prices right now, looking at what we're seeing here, I do think this is going to be a case of Synology bringing 50 to 60, maybe even 70 on the outside price differences between each ladder, and every step on that ladder is going to be pretty impressive. So we're going to go through the specs and information we've learned so far in the background, and there'll be a lot more information on this towards the end of the week. But I hope you guys find this video helpful. Do check out the NASCompare link in the description, where there's a lot more breakdown in the PDFs that we've got and what we know, and a lot more about those CPUs inside this NAS as well. Hopefully tomorrow's video will be back in the studio as well, fingers crossed, and I will see you next time.